A mysterious and playful entity named Shinigami directly addresses the audience, offering a choice of difficulty for the upcoming adventure. This meta-narrative sets a unique tone, hinting at a powerful and unpredictable companion who is aware of the game-like nature of the protagonist's journey into mystery and death. The protagonist, Yuma Kokohead, finds himself on the futuristic and fully automated Amaterasu Express. He is heading toward the isolated and perpetually rainy city of Kanai Ward, clutching a dispatch letter from the World Detective Organization, but suffering from a complete and troubling loss of memory. Aboard the train, Yuma encounters an eccentric group of individuals who introduce themselves as master detectives. Each one possesses a unique supernatural ability known as a forensic forte, a specialized power that aids them in their investigative work, showcasing the extraordinary nature of the WDO's top agents. The detectives quickly discover a critical inconsistency. There are 6 people present on the train, but official orders from the WDO stated that only 5 were dispatched. This revelation immediately plants a seed of paranoia and mistrust, as they realize an imposter is secretly traveling among them. The group discusses the immense power of the Amaterasu Corporation, a mega-conglomerate that governs Kanai Ward as its own autonomous territory. The city is known for being isolated and rife with unsolved cases, establishing a formidable and corrupt corporate antagonist for the detectives to challenge. Yuma finally has a direct confrontation with the ghostly being haunting him, who introduces herself as Shinigami, a death god. She reveals that they are bound by a pact where he traded his memories in exchange for her immense power, adding a layer of personal mystery to his quest. The journey takes a dark turn when the first murder victim is discovered. A detective named Zilch is found dead inside a locked and burning infirmary. This transforms their mission from a simple rendezvous into a high-stakes, closed-circle murder mystery with a killer hiding among them. As Yuma cautiously explores the train, he discovers more bodies of the master detectives, each murdered in a similarly gruesome fashion. The rapidly rising body count heightens the tension, creating a desperate atmosphere as the killer systematically eliminates the world's most brilliant investigators, one by one. Yuma discovers the 5th and final corpse, that of the detective Aphex, seemingly eliminating every other possible suspect aboard the train. As the sole survivor, Yuma is now in the terrifying position of being the most logical culprit, setting him up for an inevitable confrontation with the authorities. Upon arriving in Kanai Ward, Yuma is immediately cornered by the Amaterasu Peacekeepers, a corrupt police force led by the smarmy Swank. They swiftly accuse him of the massacre, revealing a premeditated plan to frame him and suppress any investigation into the city's dark secrets. To save Yuma from being framed, Shinigami uses her power to pull him into the Mystery Labyrinth, a surreal alternate dimension where unsolved cases materialize as physical dungeons. She explains that by solving the labyrinth's puzzles, they can uncover the hidden truth and expose the real killer. Inside the labyrinth, Yuma must battle a mystery phantom, a manifestation of someone in the real world who is actively obstructing the case. Wielding a special solution blade, he must defeat the Phantom's false accusations by striking them down with evidence and logical deductions from the crime scene. Navigating the labyrinth requires Yuma to make critical deductions at forked paths, with each choice representing a key question about the case. A correct deduction opens the way forward, while a wrong one can lead to traps, forcing him to rely on his investigative skills to progress. After following a logical path that leads to a false conclusion, Yuma realizes the labyrinth itself can be deceptive. It reflects the culprit's attempts to mislead investigators, forcing him to think outside the box and challenge seemingly obvious answers to uncover the deeper, more complex truth. When Yuma gets stuck, Shinigami uses her power to materialize a memory of the crime scene, allowing him to reinvestigate and find a crucial clue he missed. This ability highlights the unique and powerful advantage he gained from his pact, giving him a second chance to find the truth. Yuma finally uncovers the core trick of the murders. The culprit Zilch had faked his own death by swapping his body with another victim's corpse. This elaborate deception was designed to create a perfect alibi and derail the investigation from the very start, misleading the other detectives. The case grows even more complex as Yuma uncovers a trick involving the train itself. The culprit detached and reordered the train cars mid-journey using a secret double track, physically moving a crime scene from the front of the train to the back to create an impossible spatial puzzle. As Yuma closes in on the solution, the labyrinth becomes more unstable and aggressive, reflecting the culprit's desperation to protect their identity. The final confrontation demands that Yuma synthesize every clue and deduction to present a complete picture of the killer's intricate and multi-layered plan. In a climactic deduction, Yuma lays out the entire case, explaining how the hitman Zilch, disguised as a detective, orchestrated the massacre. He details the murders, the body-swapping trick, and the manipulation of the train cars, all designed to frame Yuma and escape undetected. Solving the mystery causes the labyrinth to collapse, which in turn leads to the real-world death of the true culprit, Zilch. Shinigami explains that this is the deadly price of their pact. Uncovering the truth with her power will always result in the killer's demise, a consequence Yuma must now bear. At the station, Yuma is rescued by Yako Furio, the easygoing chief of the Nocturnal Detective Agency in Kanai Ward. Yako swiftly diffuses the tense situation with the Peacekeepers, offering Yuma a safe haven and a much-needed ally in the corrupt and dangerous city. Yako provides Yuma with a grim overview of Kanai Ward. It is a city perpetually soaked in rain and under the complete control of the Amaterasu Corporation, where detectives are treated as enemies and the corrupt peacekeepers systematically bury any inconvenient truths, creating a deeply oppressive atmosphere. Yuma is introduced to his new colleagues at the Nocturnal Detective Agency, a rundown submarine hidden in the city's canals. He meets the other surviving master detectives, the cool Halera, flamboyant Desuhiko, ditzy Fubuki, and reclusive Vivia, forming the new team tasked with challenging Amaterasu. Chief Yako delivers a shocking revelation about Yuma's past. According to WDO records, Yuma is not a master detective, but merely a trainee. His file lists no forensic forte and only notes one peculiar skill. He is supposedly an excellent cook, a fact that only deepens Yuma's identity crisis. The agency receives a direct call from the mysterious Number 1, the legendary and unseen leader of the entire World Detective Organization. He gives them a critical mission: investigate and solve Kanai Ward's ultimate secret, a mystery with potential global implications, raising the stakes immensely. In an attempt to prove his one known skill, Yuma tries to cook a meal for Chief Yaku, but the result is inevitably terrible. This comical failure further deepens his confusion and sense of uselessness, as even the single piece of information he has about his past self appears to be wrong. While out in the city, Yuma is approached by a desperate young boy. The boy's father, a local watchmaker, has been arrested and framed by the Peacekeepers as the Nail Man, a serial killer from a chilling urban legend. This becomes Yuma's first official case in Kanai Ward. Yuma begins investigating the Nail Man case, starting with the most recent murder at the city's iconic clock tower. However, the corrupt Peacekeepers have already declared the case solved and sealed off the area, forcing Yuma to conduct his investigation discreetly to avoid their interference. Yuma forms a reluctant partnership with Halara Nightmare, a brilliant but cynical master detective who is motivated solely by money. To secure Halara's powerful assistance in solving the complex series of locked-room murders, Yuma agrees to pay a staggering fee, plunging himself into massive debt. The on-site investigation of the clock tower murder begins. Yuma finds the victim in a grotesque display, nailed to the floor inside a room locked from the inside. This first-hand look at the killer's bizarre and ritualistic methods establishes a dark and challenging tone for the case ahead. The young boy who hired Yuma discovers a crucial clue on its own: a set of strange footprints outside the clock tower. This small but significant piece of evidence, found by an unlikely source, provides the first hint about the killer's method of escape and challenges the official narrative. After being obstructed by the Peacekeepers, Yuma officially hires Halara Nightmare. Despite a cold and distrustful demeanor, Halara agrees to apply her formidable skills to the case in exchange for a massive payment, formalizing a professional partnership to uncover the truth behind the Nail Man. The Peacekeepers give Chief Yaku a 3-hour ultimatum: turn over the detectives investigating the Nail Man case, or the Nocturnal Detective Agency will be shut down permanently. This deadline puts Yuma and Halara under immense pressure to solve a string of serial killings in record time. As part of the investigation, Yuma and Halara visit the church where the Nail Man urban legend began. They question a colorful cast of characters, including the pious priest and an occult-obsessed worshipper, gathering testimonies and learning more about the dark ritual that inspires the murders. Halara reveals her powerful forensic forte, postcognition, which allows her to see a crime scene as it appeared when first discovered. Yuma's own forte, coalescence, enables him to share this ability, letting them investigate the past murders as if they were present at the time of discovery. Using postcognition, the duo investigates the first Nail Man murder at an underground casino. They discover that the killer escaped the locked room by using the nails driven into the wall as makeshift footholds to climb to a high, unsecured vent, a feat requiring great agility. The investigation of the second locked room in a mansion reveals another intricate trick. The key was hidden under the corpse, which was initially propped up by a fishing line rig. When the rig was released from outside, the body fell onto the key, perfectly sealing the room. The third murder, set in an art gallery, involved a different method. The killer locked the door from the outside, then pushed the key back into the room through a small window gap, nailing it to a painting. This created the illusion that the key was always inside the sealed room. With the Peacekeepers closing in and time running out, Yuma realizes that a conventional deduction won't be enough to secure justice. He decides to enter the Nail Man's mystery labyrinth, a dangerous gamble that will reveal the truth, but at the cost of the culprits' lives. Yuma and Halara are both pulled into the mystery labyrinth. However, the labyrinth's defense mechanisms wipe Halara's memory of the case, forcing Yuma to take the lead in the investigation. Halara, now amnesiac about the details, agrees to act as his supportive but clueless assistant. Inside the labyrinth, they tackle the mystery of the clock tower. They deduce the killer used a rope ladder hooked onto dolls nailed below the window to escape. This ladder was later burned in the church incinerator, a location only accessible to clergy members, pointing to a specific suspect. They solve the mansion's locked room mystery by recreating the culprit's elaborate trick. A complex rig made of fishing line held the corpse's upper body upright. After the key was tossed into the room, the rig was released from outside, causing the body to fall back and hide the key. The casino's locked room puzzle is solved by demonstrating how the killer used the nails hammered into the wall as improvised footholds. This allowed them to climb up to a small, high-placed vent and escape, a method that required a slender build and significant physical dexterity to accomplish. After solving all the locked room tricks, Yuma confronts the suspects and accuses the priest of being the Nail Man. The priest confesses, but the labyrinth remains, revealing a shocking twist. While he is a killer, there is still another mystery left to solve. A copycat is also at large. Yuma discovers the art gallery murder was a copycat crime, as the cause of death was faked to mimic the Nail Man's methods. The only person with enough intimate knowledge of the crime scenes to pull this off was the first witness, the occult-obsessed worshipper from the church. The copycat is revealed to be the worshipper who is present at every crime scene, his fascination with the nail man led him to commit his own murder, perfectly replicating the killer's style. However, a subtle mistake in his testimony about the discovery of the body ultimately exposed him. In a grand deduction, Yuma exposes both the priest as the original nailman and the worshipper as the copycat. With the full truth revealed, the labyrinth shatters. In the real world, both culprits die, another grim price paid for Yuma's success in uncovering the complete complex truth. The formidable director of the Peacekeepers, Yomi Hellsmile, makes a dramatic entrance. Revealing his subordinate Seth was corrupt, he executes him on the spot. Yomi then delivers a chilling threat to the detectives, warning them to cease their interference in Kanai Ward's affairs immediately. Following the resolution of the dark case, Yuma is met by the boy whose father he exonerated. The boy offers him a simple game of catch with a worn baseball. This small, human connection provides a moment of peace and helps Yuma reflect on the true meaning of his work. The detectives regroup, now fully aware of the danger posed by the Peacekeepers. Desahiko demonstrates his forensic forte, disguise, by perfectly imitating Chief Yako. His ability to alter his appearance, voice, and build makes him the ideal agent for undercover operations in the hostile city. While running an errand for the chief, Yuma is tailed by a high school girl named Kurumi Wendy. She reveals she's a fan of the WDO and offers him information on Kanai Ward's ultimate secret in exchange for his help investigating the suspicious death of her best friend, Aiko. Yuma accompanies Kurumi to the elite Etheria Academy. She explains that her friend Aiko, a star actress in the theater club, was found dead 6 months ago. While the authorities ruled it a suicide, Kurumi is certain that Aiko was murdered by one of her jealous rivals. To investigate the case, Yuma recruits Dezuhiko. Using his disguise forte, Dezuhiko transforms Yuma into a female student and himself into a teacher. This allows them to infiltrate the all-girls school and gather information from the theater club without raising any suspicion from the students. While Yuma and Desuhiko are observing a theater club rehearsal, a new tragedy strikes. The lead actress, Kaden, dies on stage after drinking from a prop cup during a dramatic scene. This shocking murder provides Yuma with a new active crime scene to solve within the school. Yuma begins his investigation into Kaden's on-stage murder, focusing on the 3 main suspects Kurumi had identified as Iko's rivals: Yoshiko, Waruna, and Karane. He must now determine how the poison was administered during a live performance, and if this death is connected to the one from months ago. The Peacekeepers, led by the imperious Vice Director Martina, arrive to take over the investigation. They quickly and unjustly frame Kurumi for Kaden's murder, using flimsy evidence. This forces Yuma to race against time to find the real killer and prove Kurumi's innocence before she is imprisoned. To gather information, Yuma has Desuhiko disguise him as each of the 3 main suspects. By impersonating Yoshiko, Waruna, and Karane, he is able to uncover their rivalries, secrets, and alibis, piecing together the complex web of relationships within the theater club and getting closer to the truth. With the Peacekeepers closing in on his own investigation, Yuma is forced to make a desperate choice. He enters the mystery labyrinth once again to solve Kaden's murder. Shinigami pulls both Yuma and a now memory-wiped Desuhiko into the surreal world of the theater club mystery. Inside the labyrinth, Yuma tackles the first puzzle: how the victim was tricked into choosing the poison glass when the cups were shuffled. He discovers a secret note in the victim's script, instructing her to drink from the glass that a spotlight illuminates first, revealing a hidden signal. The investigation reveals a startling conspiracy. The 3 suspects, Yoshiko, Waruna, and Karane, were not bitter rivals but were actually close friends of the first victim, Iko. They had secretly banded together to enact revenge on Kaden, whom they had discovered was Iko's true killer. A hidden path within the labyrinth exposes the truth of the original incident. Aiko's death was not a suicide. She was murdered by Kaden, who struck her with a brick, in the school's flower bed and then meticulously staged the scene to make it appear as if she had jumped from the roof. Yuma deduces that Kaiden's murder was a collaborative plot. Yoshiko brought the poison into the theater, Waruna swapped the prop glass with the poisoned one on stage, and Kurain used the spotlights to signal which cup Kaiden should drink. It was a perfectly executed act of revenge. Reaching the heart of the labyrinth, Yuma confronts the materialized forms of the three culprits. They confess to their plan, explaining that they sought revenge for Iko's murder because the corrupt system in Kanai Ward, influenced by Kaiden's powerful father, had denied them any form of true justice. In Yu's final deduction, Yuma lays out the entire story, from Iko's murder at the hands of Kaiden to the three friends' intricate revenge plot. He explains how each girl played a specific role, using their positions in the feeder club to carry out a single unified act of vengeance. As the mystery labyrinth is solved, the three culprits, Yoshiko, Waruna, and Kurain, die in the real world, yet another tragic price for uncovering the truth. Yuma, though he has saved Kurumi, is left to grapple with the immense moral weight and deadly consequences of his unique power. Yuma reflects on the difficult nature of truth and justice in Kanai Ward. While his powers allow him to solve any mystery and expose any lie, the resolution always results in the death of the culprit, forcing him to question his role as a detective and the ultimate cost of his success. The case concludes with the girls' confession. They reveal their profound bond with Iko and their deep frustration with the corrupt system that protected her killer. Their elaborate revenge plot was their final, tragic performance to honor their friend and achieve the justice they were denied. Following a difficult case, Yuma feels the weight of the three lives lost, a sentiment Shinigami dismisses. The dynamic between them is tense, with Yuma viewing their bond as more of a curse, while Shinigami playfully prods at his emotional state after a tough resolution in the mystery labyrinth. Yuma questions the morality of their actions, particularly the extermination of souls, even if they are criminals. Shinigami remains firm in the role as a reaper, asserting that the culprits are murderers regardless of their reasons. This highlights the central conflict Yuma faces, the cost of uncovering the truth. In the real world, the truth of the case is revealed, but the culprits die suddenly and mysteriously, their memories of the labyrinth wiped clean. This pattern of post-revelation deaths becomes a recurring and unsettling theme, suggesting a powerful, unseen force is at play in Kanai Ward. The detectives regroup after the incident, narrowly escaping the Peacekeepers. Yuma's friends from the agency praise his work, acknowledging his growing skill and intuition. Despite the grim outcome for the culprits, the team has managed to survive another confrontation with the city's oppressive authorities, strengthening their camaraderie. Yuma grapples with the loss of life, questioning if his actions truly solve anything if people die. He meets Kurumi, who reveals she is an informant. She provides him with the first major clue about Kanai Ward's ultimate secret: Amaterasu Corporation's top-secret research into creating a homunculus, an immortal monster. Yuma is overwhelmed by the responsibility that comes with his power, seeing it as a destructive force rather than a tool for justice. He feels that for every person he saves, others are sacrificed. This crisis of conscience defines his journey, as he seeks a way to find truth without paying such a high price. Kurumi shares more about the city's secrets, explaining how Amaterasu's research led to Kanai Ward's isolation from the rest of the world. She mentions her grandfather, a former informant who disappeared while investigating the corporation, giving her a personal stake in uncovering the city's dark truths. The homunculus theory is elaborated upon, an immortal monster being researched in the city. This revelation, though sounding like fantasy, provides a potential explanation for the extreme security and isolation of Kanai Ward. Shinigami, despite being a death god, finds the concept absurd, adding a layer of dark humor. Yuma resolves to share the new information with the other detectives, believing the threat of Amaterasu is too large to handle alone. This decision marks a shift from his initial isolation, showing his growing trust in his new colleagues at the Nocturnal Detective Agency, despite Shinigami's cynical advice to the contrary. Back at the agency, the detectives discuss the case and the mysterious deaths. The recurring pattern of memory loss and culprit deaths points to a potential Forte user, but they rule it out as no known detective with such an ability is in the isolated city, deepening the overarching mystery. Vivia, one of the more enigmatic detectives, cryptically notes Yuma's connection to death, calling him a death detective. While meant as a compliment on his knack for finding cases, the nickname strikes a nerve with Yuma, who is already struggling with the fatal consequences of his investigations. The Peacekeepers, led by the flamboyant and cruel director Yomi Hellsmile, retaliate for the detectives' interference. In a dramatic display of power, they use a torpedo to destroy the Nocturnal Detective Agency's houseboat headquarters, demonstrating their absolute and violent control over the city of Kanai Ward. Yuma awakens, disoriented and separated from his friends, having been rescued from the river by a mysterious masked man. This benefactor is revealed to be Makoto Kagetsuchi, who lives atop the city's tallest tower. Makoto expresses a desire to save the city from the Peacekeepers' tyranny. Makoto explains the internal power struggle within Amaterasu Corporation. He reveals the Peacekeepers, once a simple security department, have grown into a corrupt, dictatorial force under Yomi's leadership. He asks for Yuma's help as a detective to expose their crimes and restore order to the city. Yomi Hellsmile confronts Makoto in his penthouse, searching for the hiding detective. The tense interaction reveals a deep-seated rivalry between the two powerful figures. Makoto, using his cunning, manages to dismiss Yomi, protecting Yuma and solidifying his position as a potential, albeit suspicious, ally. Makoto details the Peacekeepers' rise to power, explaining how they leveraged Amaterasu's resources to become a military-like force that now rules Kanai Ward with an iron fist. He paints a grim picture of a city eroding under their control, further pressing Yuma and the other detectives for their cooperation. Makoto reveals a shocking connection. He claims to be the son of Number 1, the head of the World Detective Organization. Though he quickly dismisses it as a joke, the comment adds another layer of intrigue to his character, leaving Yuma to question his true identity and motives. Yuma returns to the ruins of the detective agency, only to be knocked unconscious and abducted. He awakens in the hideout of the Resistance, a group dedicated to overthrowing Amaterasu. Their charismatic leader, Shachi, reveals they've been watching him and wants to recruit him for their cause. Shachi introduces Yuma to the leaders of the Resistance. Each member has their own tragic backstory and reason for fighting against Amaterasu, from a gun enthusiast who lost her Olympic dream to a former accountant whose family was framed and killed by the corporation. Despite sympathizing with their cause, Yuma declines to join the Resistance, stating he cannot quit being a detective. The group turns hostile, feeling he knows too much to be allowed to leave. Shachi intervenes, proposing a compromise. Yuma can work with them as a detective on a specific job. Shachi explains the job. Yuma is to plant what he's told or surveillance cameras around the city to capture evidence of the Peacekeepers' corruption. In exchange, he promises to provide Yuma with crucial information about the Homunculus research, a deal Yuma reluctantly accepts to further his own investigation. While Yuma is on the rooftop with Shachi, the other Resistance members are seen giving Shachi a custom-made handgun. This small detail, witnessed by Yuma through a crack in the door, becomes a critical piece of evidence later on, highlighting the hidden tensions and preparations within the group. Shachi confirms the existence of homunculi in Kanai Ward, giving Yuma the first piece of his promised information. He then tasks Yuma with the first camera placement. The seemingly simple errand marks the beginning of a much more complex and dangerous plot than Yuma could have imagined. Yuma begins his mission, successfully planting the first camera. Feeling that the task is straightforward, he decides to take a detour to search for his missing detective friends, asking locals in the commercial district if they've seen anyone, but finds no leads, unaware of the trap he's walking into. At the second location, a crowded cafe, Yuma is shocked to find his fellow detective, Fubuki, working as a waitress. She explains she survived the explosion and has been waiting there, hoping to reunite with the others. She agrees to help Yuma with his task, using her charm to distract the customers. With 2 devices planted, Yuma receives his next instruction, a vending machine in Kamasaki District. Fubuki, now his partner on this adventure, accompanies him. Her naive and eccentric personality provides a stark contrast to the grim reality of their situation, though her presence is a comfort to Yuma. While waiting for the next instruction, Yuma and Fubuki have a heartfelt conversation about her sheltered upbringing. Fubuki reveals she belongs to the prestigious Quackford family, who manage the world's time, and that she became a detective to experience the world outside her family's mansion. The fourth and final camera is planted, but instead of a confirmation, Yuma intercepts a shocking message. The devices are actually bombs, and a 5-minute countdown has begun. The first bomb detonates, and Yuma realizes he's been framed as a citywide terrorist by the resistance. A citywide alert is issued by the Peacekeepers, with Yuma's face plastered on every screen as the prime suspect in the terrorist bombing. The resistance's betrayal is complete. Yuma now has to disarm the remaining bombs to save the city and clear his name, all while being hunted by the authorities. Determined to confront Shachi and learn the truth, Yuma and Fubuki head back to the resistance hideout in Doya District. The area is now swarming with peacekeepers. The ticking clock of the bomb threat adds immense pressure to their desperate mission to uncover the reason for Shachi's betrayal. Surrounded by peacekeepers, Fubuki reveals her powerful forte, the ability to turn back time. This allows them to narrowly escape capture. Yuma realizes he can share her ability by holding her hand, a crucial discovery that gives them a fighting chance against both the peacekeepers and the bomb timer. The peacekeepers storm the resistance hideout, cornering Shachi on the rooftop. Yuma, arriving just seconds after hearing a gunshot, finds Shachi dead. With the door locked from the inside and no one else in sight, the scene is staged to look like a suicide, creating a locked room mystery. Yuma investigates the rooftop crime scene. Key clues include Shachi's custom-made handgun, which has an unusual design, and the fact that an explosion occurred in the parking lot below shortly after the gunshot. These details suggest a more complex situation than a simple suicide. As Yuma puzzles over the impossible crime, the peacekeepers break down the door and find him with the body, immediately accusing him of murder. Fubuki once again uses her time reversal forte to save him, allowing them to escape just in the nick of time, but they are no closer to the truth. Yuma and Fubuki race against the Claw to disarm the second bomb at the cafe. Using their combined skills and Fubuki's forte to correct mistakes, they successfully disable the device. However, the timer for the next bomb immediately begins, with an even shorter countdown, intensifying the pressure. Convinced that Shachi's death was a murder, Yuma seeks out Margalaw, the Resistance's fund manager. Margalaw reveals that only the 4 Resistance leaders knew how to open the safe containing Shachi's gun, and he provides details about each of them, turning them all into suspects. After disarming all the bombs, the watch-like device comes off. The immediate threat is over, but the mysteries remain. Why was Shachi killed? What was the true purpose of the bomb threat? Yuma realizes he was just a pawn in a much larger conspiracy and decides to investigate further. Kurumi reveals that the citywide flooding was caused by a malfunction at the Amaterasu power plant, an incident too coincidental to be an accident. The detectives now have 3 interconnected mysteries: Shachi's murder, the bomb threat, and the deliberate flooding, all pointing to a single elaborate plot. To solve the convoluted case, Yuma decides to enter a mystery labyrinth with Shinigami's help. He needs to piece together how the flooding was a diversion for a massive bank heist, how Shachi was murdered to take control of the resistance, and how he was framed to create chaos. Inside the labyrinth, the narrative of the case materializes. The countdown timer reappears, and phantoms representing the culprits, lies, and contradictions attack Yuma. Fubuki, who has been pulled in with him, discovers her time reversal forte doesn't work here, leaving her as a vulnerable observer. Yuma's deductions reveal the truth. The culprit is Akari, the swimming athlete from the resistance. His plan was to flood Marinamon district, causing the bank's high-tech safes to float out, allowing him to steal them easily. The bomb threat was a grand diversion to occupy the Peacekeepers. The final pieces fall into place. Yuma deduces that Akari murdered Shachi, who opposed the violent plan, and framed it as a suicide. The gun was placed in Shachi's non-dominant hand, but key mistake that unraveled the cover-up. Yuma exposes the full truth, and the labyrinth begins to collapse. Back in the real world, the detectives are cornered by the culprits. Desuhiko and Halara make a grand entrance, revealing they've already apprehended the other resistance members. They present evidence that Akari was the mastermind behind the robbery and Shachi's murder, clearing Yuma's name. Just as the case seems closed, director Yomi Hellsmile arrives with reinforcements, still intent on arresting Yuma. The situation escalates until Makoto Kagetsuchi descends in a hot air balloon, revealing himself as the CEO of Amaterasu Corporation and using his authority to force Yomi to stand down. As a reward, Makoto provides the detectives with a new, upgraded submarine agency. The team learns new information from Vivia about a secret homunculus lab and a taboo topic in the city known as the Blank Week Mystery, setting the stage for their next and most dangerous investigation. The detectives decide to investigate the restricted area on the outskirts of the city, a place rumored to be a toxic wasteland and a corpse disposal facility. The new information suggests this is the most likely location for the secret lab and the key to Kanai Ward's ultimate secret. Yuma and Kurumi agree to meet with Makoto at his tower to get more information. Makoto confirms the secret lab is not in the restricted area, but deep within Amaterasu headquarters. He offers to take Yuma there, warning him of the extreme danger and the presence of the ruthless Dr. Wesker. On the way to the lab, Makoto reveals more about the internal politics of Amaterasu, including his rivalry with Yomi and the existence of a hitman, Fink the Slaughter Artist, who has sent a death threat to Dr. Wesker. The situation becomes a race to reach the doctor first. At the lab's entrance, they're confronted by Yomi, who accuses Makoto of fabricating the hitman threat as a ploy. The rivalry between the two powerful men comes to a head, with both vowing to capture the supposed intruder first, inadvertently giving Yuma the freedom to investigate the lab. Yuma tries to warn the reclusive Dr. Wesker over an intercom about the hitman, but the eccentric scientist dismisses him, confident in his lab's murderous security system. The system includes a toxic gas chamber and high-voltage floor panels, making a direct approach impossible. While Yuma is locked in a storeroom, the other detectives arrive, having also received the death threat. After a citywide blackout, they hear Dr. Wesker scream for help over the intercom, apparently under attack. The team must now find a way to bypass the deadly security to save him. Yuma devises a plan to use a durable toy robot, Amapal, to navigate the security traps, with Fubuki using her time reversal forte to undo any mistakes at the high-voltage panel stage. They slowly make their way toward the doctor's inner lab, a high-stakes remote-controlled rescue mission. Just as Amapal reaches the final door, it's knocked over. When the camera feed is restored, they see Dr. Wesker has been murdered, stabbed in the back inside his impenetrable lab. This creates a perfect locked room mystery. How did the killer get in? commit the murder, and vanish. While the detectives are reeling from the murder, Chief Yako is fatally stabbed in the hallway by the hitman. In his dying moments, he directs Yomi to a hidden clue. The Peacekeepers arrive, framing the detectives for both murders. Yuma, desperate, decides to enter the mystery labyrinth despite the risks. To investigate the impossible crime, Yuma uses Vivius Forte spectral projection to become a ghost. This allows him to pass through walls and observe the crime scene undetected by the Peacekeepers, searching for clues to how the killer bypassed the lab's perfect security system. The ghost investigation reveals key details. Dr. Wesker was hard of hearing and relied on lip reading, and he was secretly planning to flee Kanai Ward. Yuma finds a shoe print on the Amaterasu robot, a crucial clue suggesting the killer used the robot in an unexpected way. Yuma finds a photo and a lab map hidden by the dying Chief Yako. The photo shows the chief with a woman, his face obscured by a bloody fingerprint. Yuma realizes the chief was the hitman's true target and that he deliberately hid this evidence to protect a deeper secret. With enough clues, Yuma enters the mystery labyrinth for Dr. Wesker's murder. He's joined by Vivia, who surprisingly retains his memories inside. The labyrinth is incredibly complex, reflecting Yuma's own subconscious reluctance to face a truth he senses will be devastating. The labyrinth's puzzles force Yuma to deduce the killer's method. He realizes the culprit hid inside the airlock's decontamination device, then rode on top of the Amaterasu robot to get past the security, using its blind spots to remain unseen and murdering the doctor before Yuma could see. The final shocking truth of the case is revealed. Chief Yako was the one who murdered Dr. Wesker. He orchestrated the entire scenario, using the master detective's fortes to bypass the security he couldn't beat alone. His motive was revenge for his wife, who was killed by Wesker years ago. Yuma learns that Peacekeeper Director Yomi was the true mastermind, manipulating the chief into committing the murder to eliminate a business rival. Yomi appears as a phantom in the labyrinth, gloating that even with the truth revealed, he is untouchable in the real world, as the chief was the perpetrator. Yuma and Kurumi are knocked out by Makoto and awaken in a nightmarish, abandoned village. This is the restricted area, filled with zombie-like people. A note reveals these are homunculi, who must consume human flesh to survive, confirming Yuma's deepest fears about the city's secret. They find the remains of the other master detectives, each with a report detailing more of the city's history. They learn the homunculi are created from human DNA, retaining the original's memories. A key card is found, leading them deeper into the horrifying truth of their friends' fates. Kurumi finally explains the blank week mystery. 3 years ago, the entire city lost a week of memory and woke up to find Kanai Ward ravaged and isolated. This event is directly tied to the homunculus experiments, her own grandfather's disappearance, and the beginning of the eternal reign. Inside a massive automated factory, Yuma makes the most gruesome discovery yet. The popular meat buns of Kanai Ward are being mass-produced, using human corpses as the main ingredient. This factory is the solution to feeding the city's unknowing homunculus population. Yuma finds a giant machine that is generating the endless rain clouds over the city. Makoto appears and reveals the truth. The homunculi are vulnerable to sunlight, which makes them go berserk. He created the rain to protect them, effectively turning Kanai Ward into a cage for their survival. For the final confrontation, Yuma enters the last mystery labyrinth. He discovers that the entire population of Kanai Ward, including his friends, are defective homunculi who murdered and replaced their originals during the blank week. The truth is more terrible than he could have ever imagined. The final phantom is Makoto himself, who reveals he is the one perfect homunculus, a copy of number 1 of the WDO. He confronts Yuma, arguing that exposing the truth would destroy the fragile peace of the city he built for his fellow homunculi. The ultimate ethical dilemma is presented. Yuma realizes his own true identity. He is the real number one who made a pact with Shinigami and sacrificed his memories to solve this impossible case. Makoto, his copy, has been pulling the strings all along, intending to kill Yuma in the labyrinth to become the one true original. Remembering his original creed to create happiness for everyone, Yuma finds his answer. He believes the people of Kanai Ward deserve to know the truth and choose their own future. He decides to sacrifice himself so Makoto can return to the real world and tell them everything. As Yuma prepares for his end, Shinigami reveals a hidden emergency exit. Using it will cancel their pact, restoring Yuma's memories of being number one, but erasing all memory of Shinigami and their journey together. With a heavy heart, Yuma says goodbye and steps through the door. In an epilogue, Kanai Ward is slowly healing. The rain has stopped, and the homunculus population, now aware of their nature, is being led by Makoto toward a future of coexistence. The other master detectives, all revealed to be alive, prepare to leave the now changed city. Kurumi, refusing to accept Yuma's disappearance, packs a large bag with supplies, including a world map and instant ramen. With the other detectives gone and Kanai Ward on a new path, she sets off on her own adventure to find Yuma and continue their journey together.